super excited to welcome a familiar name in the world of education. Talagang napapanood ako pag si Sir yung nandito sa unahan. Si Sir Galvin Radlingo. Si Sir Galvin, he wears so many hats. He's the director of the Ateneo Science and Art of Learning and Teaching, or SALT Institute, and also teaches at the Gokongwei Brothers School of Education and Learning Design. He finished his bachelor's degree in management, major in communications technology management at the Ateneo de Manila University. But his learning journey didn't stop there. He also completed his master's in education, major in educational administration, and now pursuing his doctorate in Catholic education leadership. O, diba? On top of that, he even took an instructional design master track certificate course from the University of Illinois. Grabe. Lifelong learning talaga, no? Grabe si Sir. With his rich background in teaching and learning design, we are lucky to have him as a partner in our session today. This morning, he'll walk us through activating context for effective math and science learning resources. At sabi niya, parang kulang sa akin yung umaga. Kaya kailangan may afternoon session. In the afternoon session, it's all about presenting content for effective math and science learning resources. Mga kakulabs, let's give Sir Galvin a warm virtual welcome. At kung excited na kayo, mga kakulab, gamitin natin ang reaction button sa MS Teams. I-flood na natin ng heart reaction yan. Hello, Sir Galvin!
Hi, Ina. Grabe sa build-up, no?
Oo. Sir, hindi ako nagbibiro. Nagno-notes talaga ako. Natatandaan ko yung mga, parang war flashbacks nga kanina nung binabrowse mo yung, yung mga, yung ano mo, yung presentation kanina. But I'm sure mga kakolabs will learn a lot. So, di na ako magdadaldal. Sir, I'll give the floor to you.
Salamat, Ina. At maraming salamat sa lahat. I just want to greet everyone and thank you for being here. I know that a lot of you are on break or magsisimula pa lang ulit yung preparations for the coming school year. And so, thank you very, very much for making the time for this. No? Grabe talaga yung dedication ng mga teachers kahit bakasyon, nagpa-professional development. No? So, isang palakpak para sa lahat ng sumali ngayon sa 13.1 people na sumali sa araw natin. No? So, what I'd like to do is, I'd like to get started. No? Kasi marami akong hinanda para sa inyo ngayon. Sana yung mga hinanda ko makatulong sa pag-iisip ninyo tungkol sa paggawa ng mga learning resources. No? And I'll share my screen so that we can get started. All right, so our topic for today, at least for this morning, is on activating from context. No? So, isa itong phrase na ginawa namin sa Ateneo SALT Institute to try to capture some key ideas about some important things we may need to remember as learning designers. No, I'm pretty sure narinig nyo to dati na when we think about our work as teachers right now, we have to begin to shift our thinking to recognizing ourselves not just as people presenting content in front of people, in front of students, but as learning designers. No, so as learning designers, one of the most important considerations that we will build on today is that we know how to activate from context. No? So hindi ko masyado explain to, but hopefully in the next few minutes, mas maintindihan natin anong ibig sabihin ng activate from context. Ngayong hapon naman, pag-uusapan natin ng presenting content. No? So even if we are often facilitating learning, there will really still be times wherein we'll need to present content in many ways, and hopefully the tips this afternoon will help you do that better. So what we'll try to do today is we will try to bridge research and practice. No? So as mentioned by Teacher Ina, nagtatrabaho po ako ngayon sa School of Education sa Ateneo, kung saan nagtuturo po kami ng pre-service teachers at mga graduate students. No? And minsan, ang bansag sa mga higher ed teachers ay puro teorya na lang. No? Pero ang gusto natin sana mangyari ngayon ay i-connect natin, no? Kung anong sinasabi ng research at ano sa mga research yung pwede natin gamitin sa gawain natin bilang mga guro. So, Whenever I run professional development, it always helps for me and for my participants that I begin with some questions. No? So these are two broad questions that I thought about while designing this presentation for you for today. No? So I'd like to invite you to continue to think about these two questions. Yung una, how can we design learning resources to be more effective? No? And you see there in bold the word effective kasi yun yung unang keyword na gusto kong simulan yung pag-isipan sana. No? Ano bang iniisip natin pag sinasabi nating effective ang isang learning resource, diba? Parang, what are the things that immediately come to mind? So, magandang simulang pag-isipan yan. At pangalawa, how can we design learning resources to be more efficient? Usually, when we think about learning, I think effective is a word that we use more often, no? But today, we will also unlock what efficiency means for learning, no? Kasi, isa sa mga problema natin mga teachers ay marami tayong mga estudyante karaniwan, no? Pero meron yung time na meron tayo kasama nila, usually limited siya, 40-minute period, 50-minute period, one semester, one quarter. So that will inevitably always be part of our design process, no? So how can we make sure that the learning resources that we create are efficient so that we can really maximize our time with them? So those are some questions that we're going to ask together today. So I just want to clear the ground by saying that when we refer to learning resources here, I refer to them broadly, no? Ito yung mga ginagawa nating handouts. Ito yung ginagawa nating mga slides tulad ng pinapakita ko sa inyo ngayon. Ito yung mga modules, no? Whether printed or online. Alam ko may iba-iba tayong ginagamit ng mga online tools ngayon kung saan, lalo na kapag kunwari hindi tayo pwedeng pumasok, no, for some reason, masyadong mainit or merong suspension of classes for one reason or another, and we need to shift to remote learning, for example. So we have some materials that students go through on their own, no? Printed modules, online modules, among other things, or even our activities, no? Meron tayong mga instructions na binibigay sa mga activities natin. So I'd like you to keep these things in mind as we go through the next few minutes. What I'd like to do is I'd like to share some tips that you can bring into your design process, no? So pag gumagawa kayo ng handouts, pag gumagawa kayo ng slides, pag gumagawa kayo ng modules, ano kaya yung mga prinsipyong pwede nyong dalhin sa pag-iisip ninyo in your decision making, no? Parang ano kayang ilalagay ko dito? Mas maganda kayang ilagay yung picture o yung word, diba? So yun yung mga decisions na susubukan nating pag-usapan ngayong araw na ito. So I'd like to start with a short activity, no? Favorite activity ko tong ginagawa sa klase ko. Ang tawag dito ay belief statements, no? Naniniwala kasi ako na lahat ng ginagawa natin bilang guro, nakaangkla siya sa mga prinsipyo, no? Nakaangkla siya sa mga paniniwala tungkol sa pagtuturo, no? So pag-usapan muna natin yung learning kasi at the end of the day, maniniwala kayo doon sa mga sabihin ko sa inyo ngayon, depende dun sa pag-iisip nyo tungkol sa learning, no? So, what I prepared for you today are 3 statements which I will show in the next few slides. And then what I would like you to do is I would like you to send me a reaction based on your thinking about the statement. Okay? Sige. Simula tayo, So, first statement, students are motivated to learn. Hindi ko masyado i-explain to para papabayaan ko kayong pag-isipan ko ano kaya yung pag-iisip nyo tungkol sa statement na to. No? Students are motivated to learn. And then, if you feel like you disagree more with this statement, meaning feeling nyo more often than not, hindi naman, bigyan nyo ako ng thumbs up. But kung feeling nyo more often than not, oo naman, no, mas agree kayo dito, give me a heart reaction, no? So, bibigyan ko kayo ng oras, no, na pag-isipan to, tapos pag ready na kayo, magpabudbud naman kayo ng mga react para makita natin kung ano yung pag-iisip ninyo tungkol dito, no? So, again, give me a thumbs up if you disagree with this statement, or a heart react if you agree with this statement. Nakikita ko yung iba naglalagay sa chat, pwede rin naman sa chat, no? So nakikita ko rin siya, pero kung gusto nyo subukan din gamitin yung react button, pwede rin yun, no? So I'll give you just a few seconds to think about this statement and then to send us your reactions. No? Wala pong husgahan dito, walang right or wrong answers. Gusto nating malaman kung ano yung iniisip natin tungkol sa first statement na to. So as we can see over the chat, maraming mga nag-heart, no? Tapos may ilang mga nag-thumbs up din. Interesting, no? Mas maraming nag-heart, pero may ilan-ilang nag-thumbs up. So as you think about this statement, what I invite you to do is to begin to think about not just your agreement or disagreement. Ayan, sinimulan na ni Ma'am Janice, no? Naunahan na niya, na-anticipate niya yung gusto kong pag-isipan, no? But the reason why, no? So tulad ng sabi ni Ma'am Janice dito sa sa chat, meron siyang binigay ng mga reasons, no? So, hindi ko na ipapabahagi muna yung reason sa inyo muna yon, pero pag-isipan nyo rin yung reason, no? So, why do you agree with this statement? Why do you disagree? What are some examples that immediately come to mind that make you agree? Or what are some examples that immediately come to mind that make you disagree, no? Kasi malamang may pinanggagalingan tayo. Okay. So, statement number 1. Doon tayo sa sunod. Statement number 2. Learning should be easy. No? So, learning should be easy. Do you agree more with this statement? Or do you disagree more with this statement? So, lalagyan ko ng magta-type ako sa chat para makita natin yung statement, no? Para makita natin yung reactions ng mga tao in relation to the statements. So, learning should be easy. So, interesting, no? So, kung pinapanood nyo yung chat ngayon, makikita nyo na parang maraming hearts, but biglang may mga nagta-thumbs up din, no? That learning, maybe they have some disagreement about this statement. Oh, maganda yung sinabi ni Ma'am dito. Sabi niya, ang bilis ko malo, no? Hindi ko nahabol yung pangalan niya. Pero ang sabi niya, agree but not really. No? So, interesting. No? So, when we think about this statement, usually we have a nuance, no? Parang iniisip natin na parang, okay, medyo agree ako dito, pero hindi ako agree because of these things. No? So again, as we think about statement number 2, I invite you to try to unpack why. No? What are the occasions wherein you feel like learning should be easy? What do you mean by easy? No? So when you were thinking about this statement, what do you mean by easy? If you disagreed with this statement, why do you disagree? No? Parang what will be amiss? No? Ano yung mawawala kung masyadong madali ang learning? No? Yan, sige. So ipapark muna natin yung mga pag-iisip nyo at dadalhin natin yung mga yan to the next few slides. Our last statement for our warm-up activity is this. Learning can be designed. No? Learning can be designed. Nilagay ko siya sa chat. Can be designed. Okay, so medyo pag-isipan nyo mabuti tong statement na to. No? Kasi at first glance, parang simple lang yung sinasabi niya. Pero if you slow down your thinking, meron talaga siyang gustong ipaisip sa inyo, no? Na learning can be designed. No? So if you agree more with this statement, again, heart. If you disagree more, thumbs up. No? So nakikita ko maraming mga heart. May mga nagsasabi na, may mga ibang nagbanggit kanina tungkol dun sa statement natin tungkol sa learning should be easy. That easy for them is fun, okay? Simplified, okay? And then dito naman sa learning can be designed, maraming nag-agree, no? Maraming nag-agree. May pailan-ilan din na nag-disagree. Very interesting. So again, for this third statement, my invitation to you is to begin to think about why. Why do we say that learning can be designed? Where are we coming from? But I think more importantly, since majority of us here in the room gave hearts, it might be interesting to think about what is the thinking behind those who disagreed, no? Ano kaya iniisip nila? Ba't hindi sila nag-agree dito, 'di ba? Ano kaya yung pinanggagalingan nila, no? So halimbawa, no, nagtuturo po ako ng isang methods course ngayon sa undergrad namin. Pinag-usapan namin tong statement na to, no. Tapos isa sa mga challenging questions na binibigay ko sa mga estudyante ko ay bilang future teacher, ang dami yung preparations na gagawin, 'di ba? But there is always one thing that you cannot do for your learners, no? And that is learning, no? Na parang ang learning, ginagawa lang siya ng learner, no? So halimbawa, kahit na tumambling ako dito, kahit na sobrang nakakatawa yung mga maging jokes ko ngayong araw na ito, or sobrang compelling ng mga insights na ibahagi ko sa inyo, kung matututuhan nyo ba yung mga pinag-uusapan natin o yung hindi, ang sagot doon ay nasa inyo, no? Laging nasa inyo, no? So maganda pag-isipan, no? Learning can be designed. Okay. So I wanted to start with these 3 statements because again, the tips that I will present to you today we'll try to speak to the statements, no, directly and indirectly. We'll talk about motivation. We'll talk about difficulty. And then we'll talk about design, no? Obviously, the reason why we're having a session today is, I guess in general, we mostly agree with the third statement, no? That even if we have a limited control over whether learning will happen or not, learning we believe can essentially be designed. No? And so hopefully today, I can offer some design tips. I can offer some design tips as you think about how you can make learning, most especially in science and math. But I know that some of you here are also teaching other subject areas in your respective subject areas and your year levels more efficient and effective. So yung unang hypothesis natin as ay learning can be promoted when we are able to allow learners to activate from context, no? So spoiler alert, no? Nasubukan yan to kanina doon sa activity natin, no? So if you engage with the activity a while ago tungkol doon sa mga pagkain, nakakagutom, no? Biglang gusto ko ng baterol, nagka-crave ako. But anyway, so doon sa activity natin kanina, yung intention is to activate from context, no? To allow you to bring your context to this learning experience. And bringing your context to the learning experience is a very important step in the learning process. And one of the reasons why we want to do that, and this is what I'd like to focus on this morning, is really this idea of motivation. This is not very new to us. In fact, I know that in some lesson plan formats, ito yung una, di ba? Motivations, maglalagay kayo ng activity doon, iisipin nyo kung paano yung motivation activity sa simula, no? But allow me to just speak to the concept of motivation a little bit, no? So that we can clear the ground and clarify our understanding of what we mean by motivation. So I will draw a lot from the work of Keller. Keller has a lot of research in instructional design, education technology, and learning. No? And in one of his work, he says, motivation consists of the amount of effort a person is willing to exert in pursuit of a goal. And in a learning experience, this is something of interest to us, right? That we strongly believe that learning will not happen if in the first place your students are not motivated to learn, or in the first place you haven't been able to draw them in so that they will be open to learning, no? So halimbawa, nag-log on kayo ngayon sa session natin, no? Pero parang hindi naman kayo motivated. That will definitely affect what you will get from this session. And one of the first things that it will affect is this construct of attention, no? One of the first things that motivation will affect in relation to learning is attention. And alam natin ngayon, not to judge the generation of today, but when in conversations like this with teachers, I've always heard teachers talk about how it becomes more and more difficult to gain learners' attention, no? Probably because of the exposure that we're in. No? For example, some of them talk about the YouTube generation, di ba? Parang sanay tayo doon sa parang, ay, okay, ayoko na ito papanoorin ko na yung next video. Or ngayon, YouTube Shorts, no? Meron akong 8-year-old son who watches YouTube Shorts, tapos parang 5 to 8 seconds na nga lang yung video, siniskip pa niya, no? And so, we live in a world that is very distracted. And I think because we live in a world that's very distracted, it becomes more important for us to design for motivation and attention to happen, no? So it can't be by accident, no? Because if we leave it to accident, then we will lose a lot of learners, even in the beginning of a learning experience. And we don't want that to happen, no? So we will draw a lot from the work of Keller in his ARCS model. Meron siyang ARCS model of motivation, but for the sake of this session today, we will only focus on one of the elements, which is attention, no? So if you want to look into the ARCS model, maganda po yung mga naisulat ni Keller at marami po siyang tips na makakatulong sa atin. You may look at, pwede nyo pong i-search yung ARCS model after this session if you want to dig deeper into the framework. But for today, ang focus lang po natin ay on attention. And what I'd like to do in the next few minutes is to provide some principles and strategies to help us create learning resources that lead towards attention, no? So the good news is, even if attention is something that is hard to get right now from our learners, there are some things that we know from the learning sciences that we can bring to our practice. And these are some of them, no? So pag-uusapan natin itong apat na ito ngayong umaga: perceptual arousal, inquiry arousal, variability, and prior knowledge. At sana, pwede nyo itong dalhin dun sa gagawin ninyong sunod, no? So halimbawa, gagawa kayo ng lesson plan, gagawa kayo ng slides, gagawa kayo ng handouts. Sana para maging thinking tools siya na pwede nyong dalhin sa paggawa nyo ng mga bagay na yon. So isa-isahin ko po siya. Ang gagawin ko, I'll explain each concept, each principle. I'll call them principles. And then after explaining each principle, I will offer some design questions, some questions that you can think about in relation to the principal and some examples as well. So, simulan na natin. Yung una ay perceptual arousal. Perceptual arousal, according to Keller, is defined this way. It is the design elements in instruction that generate curiosity and wonder by using novel approaches and when we inject personal and emotional material, no? So kung lalabas tayo ng kaunti sa learning resources, ito yung common experience natin kung bakit na-enjoy natin yung mga teachers na nagjo-joke pa konti-konti, no? So assuming na nakakatawa po yung joke at bumibenta sa students, no? Because it engages them emotionally, no? So it engages their perception, no? Isa sa mga keywords that Keller uses to explain this idea is the idea of senses, like exciting the senses. So these are things that we do to intentionally excite the senses, no? Even in our learning resources. And I'll show some examples of how we can do that concretely in the next few slides. So I'll offer some questions, no? So yung unang tanong na pwede nating isipin in relation to perceptual arousal would be, what are the images that can elicit interest and curiosity, no? So sabi nga ni Keller, what are some things that we can show learners that might excite their senses or excite expectation, no? So gusto ko yung excite expectation kasi parang may nabasa ako dati na anticipation is half the experience, no? Hindi ko alam kung nafe-feel niyo yun. Halimbawa, kakain kayo bukas sa isang restaurant na gusto niyong subukan, no? Kasi napanood niyo itong vlog, di ba? Usually manonood kayo tungkol doon, tapos parang na-excite kayo, no? And yun yung gusto natin mangyari sa simula na isang learning experience, no? So halimbawa, doon sa picture na pinili ko, if you're teaching some elementary math lesson, for example, on three-dimensional objects, you may want to think about what are three-dimensional objects that your learners are familiar with, that they find exciting, like for example toys like blocks and all of these shapes, mga Lego, parang ganyan, no? And then how can I use that to bring them into my lesson, no? So what are some images that you can show that relate to them, that might elicit interest and curiosity? That might be one question that you may want to keep in mind. Another example in terms of interest and curiosity is you may want to use this next design question. What are scenes, no? Ano yung mga eksena na pwede sa nating ipakita that might elicit interest and curiosity, no? So I'll give an example. Let's watch this short video I found online. This short video, I'll invite you to observe what happens to water, no? So para siyang slow-mo video of water inside the glass. So assuming you're in a science class and then you're talking about, I don't know, changes in states of matter, and then you start off with a video like this where you ask students to observe what's happening. And what I like about videos like this, for example, yung mga slow-mo videos na pwede natin makuha doon is, in real life, you don't see it in this slow-mo, di ba? Hindi nyo nakikita yung activity in this degree, no? And so you're able to observe quite keenly, and it hopefully it becomes something interesting among students, no? So these short demonstrations can elicit interest and curiosity, no? So halimbawa, if you're talking about states of matter, you might want to show a video like this and maybe ask questions around the videos, no? And I think the asking of questions is even the more important part, no? To elicit interest and curiosity. And one of my go-to strategies in asking questions about images is this, no? I don't know if you've encountered this before. This is coming from the work of Harvard Project Zero, no? Meron silang mga thinking routines in their work called Making Thinking Visible. At isa sa mga thinking routines nila ay yung See, Think, Wonder, no? So, paano natin gagamitin yung See, Think, Wonder? Simple lang, no? Usually, you give a stimulus, an image, a video, a material. It could even be a text if you want, if that is what fits your purpose. And then you ask 3 questions about the material. What do you see? Ano yung nakikita nyo? What do you observe? What do you think about what you're seeing? Okay, what do you think when you interpret what you're seeing? What do you think about it? And then what do you wonder? What are some questions that arise about what I've just shown you or what you just looked at? No? So, see, think, wonder. So show an image, show a stimulus, and then do a see, think, wonder with your students. And you'll notice, at least in my experience, that it really primes them, no, to engage with the topic that you're about to discuss or have a conversation with them with. Here's another question. A design question that you can bring to your practice of creating learning resources, no? So according to Keller, one way to lead to perceptual arousal is also what are concrete ways of presenting this idea, no? So if you compare the 2 texts here, Babasahin ko. Just before the beginning of the Revolutionary War, a famous American patriot said that people should be willing to die if necessary to obtain liberty for the citizens of this country. Compared to the second sentence, on the eve of the Revolutionary War, the famous American patriot Patrick Henry exclaimed, I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. No? So just by reading the two questions, you'll notice a difference, diba? And what Keller is saying here is that stories often trump statements. No? So if we were to present statements, let's say in a printed module or in a handout, what this design question asks you to consider is what are stories that are related to this statement that you can use instead of just saying a statement. No? So that becomes more concrete. Here's another example of this design question, no? That if you're talking about displacement, for example, maybe if you Google displacement, you'll probably see something like this, the first image that you see there. But maybe a more interesting image would be what displacement looks like, or what are concrete examples of displacement that you can offer to your students, no? Such as maybe shooting a basketball, and that can be a starting point for a conversation about displacement. Here's another example. I will always remember this from my math teacher, that probability for me can be related to a dice, no? But that's always helped me think about probability, because the image of a dice in relation to the concept of probability is something that's already been made connected to me because of the teachers that presented it to me this way. Another design question might be to think about metaphors. So, halimbawa, nagtuturo kayo ng algebra, finding x. Hindi po ito yung x ninyo, no? Para ito po yung sa algebra. So finding x, no? Tapos pwede nyo isipin, ano kaya yung experience or na-expose sa mga students na medyo related dito, na maintindihan nila ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng finding x, no? So halimbawa, iniisip ko kung ano yung makakatulong sa anak ko kunyari in the future. At naisip ko yung larong Among Us, no? Kung saan may isang suspect na sinahanap nyo kung ano yung suspect, kung sino yung suspect, no? So para siyang ganun, no? Yung finding x, may mysterious person na hinahanap ninyo, and then you're looking for clues to find out where X is. So metaphors can help learners most especially understand more abstract ideas. No? So here's another example: hormones as messengers. No? So hormones might be something very abstract to someone who hasn't encountered the concept before, but they're probably familiar with messengers. No? So lalo na sa mga messaging apps. No? So ito yung unang prinsipyo, no? Perceptual arousal. For us to think about some of these things that might be helpful to entice our learners, to draw them in through perceptual arousal. But according to Keller, perceptual arousal is not enough, that we have to lead them to inquiry arousal as well. And inquiry arousal is when we stimulate inquiry by asking questions, creating paradoxes, posing problems or challenges. And I like how Keller emphasizes this by using the term mental conflict, by posing some mental conflict. No? So by helping them understand that there are some things that they do not know, and in this lesson, we will help you know those things. There are some skills that you cannot do, and in this lesson, we will help you learn skills that will help you do those things. I'll just give a few examples that are probably things that you already do in your practice. No? So the first one is about challenging problems. We can pose challenging problems. No? So halimbawa, without counting the apples, how many do you think are in the box? So this could be a challenging problem that you start with, for example, for them to understand the problem of counting too many things, to introduce maybe, for example, multiplication. I don't know. No? Here's another example. You give them a problem, they count the tools, and then they realize that, okay, there are different ways to do this faster. How can we do this faster? So on and so forth. No? And that becomes a great intro to the lesson. Or you can also pose challenging questions that are quite abstract that get them to think. No? So for example, name the fraction based on the shape shown. So you're assuming here that they know about shapes, so they don't know about fractions yet, and they just try to figure things out without knowing how to actually do this first. No? So it's allowing the learners to engage in problems even if they're not taught how to solve the problems yet. A question related to this would be to think about conflicting or intriguing situations. So what are these situations that you can present? For example, can a square be made to look like a pyramid? How can we transform a flat square into a three-dimensional shape? No? So medyo mahirap to, wag yung tanong sa akin kung ano yung sagot. But sa mga math teachers, I'm pretty sure you have some ideas. Or for science, di ba, showing them an intriguing scene. For example, here, an astronaut in space, in talking about, for example, gravity. Paano kaya siya lumulutang, di ba? Ano ba yung meron at ano yung wala? But lumulutang ang isang astronaut sa space, no? An intriguing situation, usually that is different from their experience or that is peculiar, no? Or something like an experiment, no? For example, do all ice float, no? So for example, you can show these two scenes. In this scene, this first scene on the left, the ice is floating. In this next scene, the ice is not floating. Ano kayang pinagkaiba dito? No? And that might be a great starting point for talking about things like density or composition of the elements of these ice cubes. No? Or the last design question is to think about mystery. What are mysteries that you can create in the beginning of a learning experience? No? So in this example, for example, you have a lesson on characteristics of matter or properties of matter. No? So pwede kayo maglaro ng what is in the mystery box. So meron kayong fake na kahon and then magtatanong sila ng questions tungkol dun sa ano kaya yung laman nun, tapos susubukan lang hulaan using their questions, and then you can respond to their questions. So for example, malaki ba siya? Rough ba siya? Anong kulay niya? Itim ba siya? And then you reveal, for example, the right answer, and then this becomes a great intro point to talking about the different properties. No? So here is a second way to do it. No? So inquiry arousal, to try to pose questions and problems that learners will want to solve. And because they want to solve those problems, they will want to learn something to help them solve those problems. Okay. So, I know that I've been going on for a few minutes now. Magpo-pause po muna tayo and it's your turn. No? So, using these two strategies, I'd like to invite you to embark on a mini design challenge. I'd like you to think about a topic that you teach. No? So, hopefully you could choose a challenging topic para at least exciting siya. And then, I'd like you to try to use any of the strategies here and to share with us over chat an example of how you might use the strategy. Halimbawa, introducing the concept of fractions, I will show an image of 5 children looking at one big pizza. Tapos ang goal ko dyan ay perceptual arousal. So parang ganyan. Okay? So I'll give you 5 minutes. Meron po akong dock timer dito to really make sure that I give you enough time. And then with the next 5 minutes, I invite you to go over chat and to share some ideas over chat. Tapos titingnan namin ni Teacher Ina kung ano yung mga binahagi ninyo. Okay? So collab tayo ng konti as we think about this. Could also be something that you've already done in your class before, no? Hindi kailangan bago, no? So, baka may naalala kayong, habang nag-share ako kanina ng examples, may mga naalala kayong sarili ninyong example, pwede nyo rin siya ibahagi para mas marami pa tayong examples na matuklasan ngayon from our community. So again, as soon as you have come up with your example, please head over chat and type in your example. And then what we'll do is, before I move forward, we'll take a look at some examples. I'll read out some examples just to highlight some ideas that are there. If you're already put in your example over chat, pwede nyo rin pong basahin yung mga examples para matuto rin tayo sa isa't isa, no? Na baka may iba-ibang mga paraan na nagawin itong mga strategies na to in the different learning resources. I also challenge you to think about learning resources na kahit na yung pinaka low tech, no? Halimbawa sa isang printed module, anong itsura nito? Anong itsura ng perceptual arousal, inquiry arousal sa inyo? Paano niyo siya ginagawa? last 2 minutes. I'll continue to give you the time for you to think about this. Kung nagbahagi na kayo ng example, baka may iba pa kayong example na gustong masubukan, no? Or ibahagi, no? So for example, nag-isip kayo ng isang perceptual arousal. What if inquiry arousal naman, no? Anong mga ideya na naiisip niyo ngayon na pwede niyo ibahagi? Okay, last 1 minute and 42 seconds. No? Nachichismis sa akin na marami na naman nagbabahagi sa chat. Babalikan natin yan in the next minute.
Hi, Sir Galvin. And
Hi, Teacher Ina.
Tama ka, sir. Ang dami ng answers dito sa ating chat box, no? At nawiwili naman talaga akong magbasa ng mga answers nila. Okay. There's even one saying, who said, si Ma'am Shama Amar, Earth systems daw yung topic niya. Hydrosphere, biosphere, atmosphere, geosphere. Tapos, yung picture na pinakita niya ay yung Four Encantadia Brillantes. O, di ba? Tubig.
Wow, exciting. Ayun.
Di ba? Ang galing.
At ano pa, contextual pa siya.
Correct, di ba? No? Talaga parang, naman kung student ako, mapapakinig talaga ako ni ma'am, di ba? And there are lots.
Sige. So, magbabasa tayo ng ilang examples tapos nabalitaan ko na may gusto rin daw na mag-share ng live.
Yes,
diba?
Sir. So, and 'di ba? I think the scholars are watching live right now, 'di ba? Meron tayong 2 scholars who would want to share their answers, 'di ba? Tatawagin po natin sila. I think you can just go, okay lang po, Sir Galvin, they can go near the screen. They are GBF scholars, diba? You can introduce yourself first and then share your answers, no?
Sige. So, we'll start with the scholars on screen. Hello, magandang umaga.
Hello.
Maybe, please go ahead, introduce yourself, and then please share your idea.
Hello po, ako si Dave po from UP Diliman College of Education. And ang major ko po ay major in math and minor in health. So yung napili ko po na parang topic po is yung ginamit ko po during the demonstration po namin last semester. Ang topic po is conversion of unit measurements from metric to imperial units and vice versa. So from meters, kilometers to imperial system po, like feet, ganyan, inches, etc. So yung napili ko po na motivation po for this part is under perceptual knowledge po yung seating. I think mag-ano po siya, fall under seating wonder kasi yung yung pinakita ko po doon na motivation, yung ginamit po namin motivation during the lesson is nagpakita po kami ng image, assuming po na yung mga students ay alam na nila kung paano mag-convert from metric to metric and imperial to imperial. This time mag-convert naman sila from 2 different systems. So yung pinakita ko na example is merong example ng resort, image po ng resort, tapos may mga tao na nag-swimming, tapos may nakalagay po ng warning 5 feet deep. So assuming po na hindi alam ng mga estudyante yun, since ang ginagamit po sa Philippines is meters, metric system po. So, under Seating Wonder po, yun po yung stimulus na pinakita namin. Then, yung si teacher po, nagtanong siya ng question, tingin nyo ba kayo ba ay pwede dumangway sa swimming pool na yan since 5 feet deep yung nakalagay. So, doon po na, parang na-arrange po yung curiosity ng mga estudyante. Then, ayun po, nag-wonder na po sila. Then, sila po mismo nagtatanong ng mga question kung pwede ba kayo mag-swimming dito or hindi? Ayun po.
Oh, sir, motivation pa lang, pasado na yung teaching demo niya, 'di ba?
Oo nga.
Ang galing. Congratulations.
Ang galing, no? At ang gusto ko dun sa example na dun, Teacher Ina, it's very relatable, 'di ba? Kasi kahit papaano naman sa mga outing nakikita nila yung mga bagay na yon. Tapos parang for something that can be very abstract, like converting, parang converting from feet to meters, no? Parang it can feel very abstract. That lesson can feel very abstract, but it's a very practical example of when you can actually use, no? So mahalaga yun, no? Kasi minsan, di ba, mga estudyante natin tinatanong, ba't ko ba kailangan matutunan to? Tapos sabihin na teachers, basta, di ba? Pero hindi pwedeng basta, di ba? Parang itong mga examples na to, nakakatulong siya doon. Maraming salamat sa pagbabahagi, sir. So,
yes, and I think meron pa po tayong isa from our scholars who would want to share, no? Okay. Ayan.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, and sir and ma'am. I'm Anton from PUP College of Education, an undergrad under the program of Bachelor of Secondary Education major and science. So what I used earlier to design my idea, designing for motivation is the number one, perceptual arousal. And I use a lesson that I have taught before, naming the types of chemical reactions in a grade 10 chemistry class.
Correct.
So for the first part, intriguing and relatable images. Ideally, yung ginawa ko or gagawin in the future is that I flash on the screens yung mga showbiz couples na related ang mga students during this time because we know pa sila sa social media these days so that I can makuha yung attention nila and magpapasok po ito dun sa see, think, and wonder. Sino ito? Think anong meron sa relationship nila and wonder how is this couple or this image relates to our lesson afterwards. Then the stories is that how these relationships go. Nagkaroon po ba ng conflict, naging successful, and etc. etc. And then the metaphors that I will use is that doon ko po ipapasok yung basic or yung 4 types ng chemical reactions. For instance, synthesis reaction, wherein si couple, si boy, si girl nagsama, they form a couple. Meanwhile, yung decomposition is that they break up. Meanwhile, the single replacement is si A and B, may nakahanap ng bago and nag-yield na pagpalit ng partner. So medyo controversial, but I see this as an effective perceptual arousal for the students to know so that I can minimize those classroom distractions. So this is just a raw idea, but it's a privilege for me to share and to learn more from these sessions. And
Maraming salamat.
Thank you.
Virtual react para dun sa mga nagbahagi mula
dun sa
ating mga live audience doon. No?
Huling-huli talaga yung attention.
Gusto ko lang i-breakdown ng konti doon. No? Like kunyari yung kaya siya perceptual arousal. No? Pag inisip natin, ano ba yung tinatap natin sa mga ganong ehemplo? No? Kasi for example, iniisip niyo yung mga paborito niyong celebrities. Diba? Minsan kinikilig kayo, natutuwa kayo. Diba? So, yung emotions na yun yung ginagamit natin in a way at dinadala natin sa learning experience when we bring up those relatable examples. So, thank you very much for those. Sige, Teacher Ina, maybe we can read some examples over chat, no? Bago tayo
Sir, before ako mag-read, I like when you said that you are tapping into other senses and other emotions. Kasi tama nga naman, when you tap into those things, mas parang engaged yung mga students to learn. And mas tumataas yung attention nila to you as their teachers, diba? So, ang ganda. So, I'm going to read itong example ni Ma'am Annabel Lucero. Sabi niya, perceptual arousal, sounds and hearing focusing on how different sound waves, yung topic niya, and frequencies stimulate the auditory system. Ay, ganda nun, no? Hindi lang visual. Hindi lang visual.
Oo.
Different examples.
Maganda yun, no? Sounds din, no? Lalo na ngayon, di ba parang nauuso minsan yung mga podcast or yung mga...
Yes.
Ano ba yung pinapakinggan nila? Yung mga ASMR videos ba yan? Hindi ako masyado nanonood noon. Pero parang gano'n, no? Nauuso siya. So, pwede natin gamitin yun, no? Para may familiarity sila sa ganong klaseng media, di ba? Na pwede natin ipasok sa lesson. Sorry, Teacher Ina. May isa ko pang gustong basahin na example.
Correct, sir. Go lang po.
So, gusto kong basahin ito example tungkol sa math naman. No? Your jeepney fare is 15 pesos. Naku, gumalaw siya. Nawala siya. May isang math example. Teka lang.
Oh, di ba?
Sorry, gumalaw siya.
Po, viewers, live po tayo.
Opo, ang dami po mga pero example po siya tungkol sa math, no? Tapos jeepney fare yung ginamit niya. So, gusto ko lang i-highlight yon dahil makikita mo dun sa pag-iisip nung nagbahagi na iniisip niya kung ano yung mga common experiences ng students, no?
Ito, sir,
kasi,
nahanap nila. Sorry, sir.
Nahanap nyo? Ayan, sige.
Yes. Your jeepney fare is 15 pesos, but student discounts give you 20% off.
Yun.
Correct. How much exactly should you pay? Oh, di ba?
Oh, di ba? Di ba? Parang, siyempre, gusto nating lahat makatipid, di ba?
Yes.
So, I like this example again because it's very relatable. It's something that people care about. Like those are some things that really come into this thinking. No, so parang what are the things that your students care about? What are the things that they connect to? And how can we bring that into our discussion? No, sige.
Sir,
patuloy tayo,
alam
Teacher
po,
Ina.
madami pa po kayong i-share. I'll give the floor once again to you.
So maraming salamat. Thank you very much for those who shared their examples. And patuloy pa pong nagsishare ang iba sa chat. No? Ang dami pang mga examples. Maraming salamat. So I'd like to introduce two more principles that we may want to use, no? Galing sa gawa ni Keller or sa research ni Keller. Itong dalawa, tingin ko medyo mas sanay na tayo sa mga to, and maybe your experience in the next few minutes will just be to name things that you're already doing, no? So this third principle is called variability, no? So it is when we design elements of resources and our activities to sustain attention by varying, no? Kaya yun yung keyword, no? By varying the media, pace, and approach, no? So I'll give some examples just so we can think about what this looks like. So One design question that we may want to think about is how can we vary how an idea is shown, no? Minsan kasi sa pagmamadali natin, minsan parang kinugugol natin yung na parang nagsa-search tayo tungkol sa topic, tapos parang copy to my slide, tapos yun yung gusto natin ipakita. But this allows us, this challenges us to slow down our thinking a little bit, no? And to ask the question, what are different ways we can show an idea, no? So halimbawa dito, tungkol sa fractions, you could show it through a GIF, you could show it through a diagram, you could show it through a concrete picture. And what Keller is saying is that this change in media, this change in image, keeps our learners' attention, diba? So kumbaga hindi puro diagram lang. So minsan nagpakita kayo ng diagram, ngayon naman concrete picture, ngayon naman GIF, no? So the changes in media causes that keeping of their attention, no? So yun yung that's what he hypothesizes in his research. Here's another tip, no? That we can also vary the format, no? So for example, if you compare the text on the left and on the right, there are some very visible differences, diba? And even without doing an actual poll right now, if you were asked the question, which one will you want to read more? Malamang ang mas gusto nating basahin yung nasa kanan, diba? Parang at first glance, without having the language coming from Keller, ang sabihin natin, parang mas maganda itsura nung sa kanan, diba? Mas maganda yung layout, no? But apparently, in Keller's research, hindi lang pala siya visual, no? Hindi lang pala aesthetics yung nangyayari dito, na meron din palang science, no? That yung varying of format na minsan may naka-bold, minsan may naka-indent, minsan may naka-block text, minsan may naka-bullet point. Yung variation, nakakatulong siya in keeping students' attention, no? So I think that's very interesting when I learned about this because this speaks to even the most low-tech resources that we come up with, di ba? So imagine natin yung mga printed modules natin. Hindi nyo naman pwede lagyan ng video yan, di ba? Pero pwede natin gamitin tong variation of format na merong mga naka-bold, merong naka-indent, minsan may diagram na sisingit, may picture na sa singit, sa layout. All of these help in keeping students' attention or learners' attention. Another thing that Keller talks about is that we can also vary the tone of our text. No, so I think this applies both to speaking, presenting, but also to written resources. No, so halimbawa in this sample that I'm showing you on understanding quadrilaterals, I show you 2 paragraphs. No, so in the example here, what we're saying here is that you can alternate between different tones within a certain material. No, so you may start with, let's say, a more expository type of paragraph. No, so a quadrilateral is a polygon with blah 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 blah, and then maybe after that paragraph, you can go into conversation mode. Think of quadrilaterals like a family, so on and so forth. No, so in a printed format, in a learning resource, this becomes very important because if you think about it, in a live setting like this is something that we actually do as teachers more organically, no? May pinapakita tayong konsepto sa slides natin, tapos nagkukwento tayo. Di ba parang gano'n? Parang, the photosynthesis is blah, 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 blah. Tapos magkukwento tayo. Parang, di ba? Saan natin nakikita yung photosynthesis? Blah, 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 blah. So, this is really codifying that practice, no? That alternating between different tones does contribute to attention and motivation. In a learning experience, when we're planning for instruction, this happens when we alternate between different types of activities. Different types of activities. Halimbawa, meron kayong physical activity, tapos sige, mag-lecture tayo ng konti. After ng lecture, meron tayong by pair. After ng by pair, meron tayong reporting. So yung pagbabago-bago, the instructional variety contributes to attention and motivation. And then finally, you may want to ask questions around activities. No? So what are the different activities that can be used to teach the same thing, no? So, and how can you vary those things? No? So in this example, this is for a math class. Let's say warm-up activity might be this, put a finger down if, and then meron kayong mga questions, no? Put a finger down if you have a cat. Tapos, after a series of questions, tatanungin sa kanila, I still have blank fingers, count up to 10, no? So konting practice tungkol sa counting as you start off your lesson, no? But this example really emphasizes the more physical, no? So na pwedeng minsan mag-insert naman kayo ng physical tulad ng ilang mga examples kanina. So, isa sa mga research na lagi kong binabalikan when I design learning experiences is something I learned from this book that I read, Brain Rules by John Medina. I don't think we should treat this biblically, no, na parang absolutely, but it's been a helpful thinking tool for me. Sabi ni John Medina, our brain naturally drifts attention every 10 minutes, di ba? So sabi niya, every 10 minutes, our brain tries to do something else or look for something else, no? That means that, for example, nagle-lecture kayo, you can already anticipate na maybe it's not always 10 minutes for every person, but just a general rule that every 10 minutes, it always helps to shift, to vary what's happening, no? So halimbawa, 10 minutes, nagpapakita kayo ng slides, maybe you should insert a pause and then, kwentuhan naman tayo ng konti. Talk to the person beside you or something like that, diba? So in terms of variation, this might be a helpful thing to think about. Even when you're coming up with a printed module, no, try to anticipate that, okay, they're already looking at this for 10 minutes, maybe I should do something else. Maybe I can insert a small worksheet or a reflection question or a small task, diba? But I guess what this tells us is that we have to design things in chunks, no? We have to design things in maybe 10-minute intervals, at least according to John Medina. So these are some 4 things that might help in terms of variability. So visuals, format, tone, and elements of instruction. The last element, the last principle that I'd like to share with you is something that you're probably all familiar with, no? Most especially those who are studying in pre-service teacher ed. And that is really bringing in prior knowledge, no? That helps motivate learners, no? It is really considering students' prior experiences and knowledge as a springboard to connect to the lesson. Na dito tayo magsisimula, no? For example, one question that we may want to think about is, what are some experiences inside and outside of school that they can relate to, no? So, kanina may magandang example na tayo na lumabas dun sa brainstorming natin yung tungkol sa jeepney fare, di ba? Parang we recognize na sumasakay sila ng jeep, so alam nila, makaka-relate sila dun sa experience of paying for a jeepney fare. At estudyante sila, so gusto nila ng discount, di ba? So, halimbawa dito, what animals can we find in a farm? And maybe putting some some common animals that they see around them, no? So that they can relate to it. For example, I was thinking in a lesson on simple machines, you may want to start it off with something like this, no? Parang, kayo ba, gusto niyo ba mag-stairs or mag-ramp? Parang ganyan, di ba? And to show images that are relatable para, okay, o nga, nakakita ko ng mga ramp at mga stairs. Bakit ba may mga ramp? Bakit ba may mga stairs? Bakit ba hindi stairs lahat? Bakit ba hindi ramp lahat? Ano ba yung bakit ba? Diba? Bakit ba nangyari yung mga yan? No? And so yun, no? So parang thinking about things that they see, they experience, they observe outside the classroom, and then bring them inside the classroom. Another question, and I think this is something that's more common among us in our practice, is what are relevant prior knowledge? No? And a very simple way to tap this is to ask a question. So for example, plants need blank to grow. In your review about what they've learned about plant growth and photosynthesis, for example, and then you connect it to the new information or to the new topics related to the previous topic. No? So quizzes still play a very important role in the learning process. And you can do this in any learning material. No? Start with a question for them to activate prior knowledge that's related to the new knowledge, no? And you want to do that explicitly. Or you could do it in the form of an activity. For example, here, it's a Simon Says activity. Simon says, stand up. Okay. Simon says, make parallel lines with their arms. Diba? So, para ma-check kung naalala ba nila ano yung parallel lines, so on and so forth. No? Okay. So, we're moving on to a close, and then we'll break off to some Q&A if you want to clarify anything. No? So, I want to do a quick poll first. No? So which of the four principles do you think would you want to consider more in your practice? And then over chat, please type in letter A, B, C, or D. No? So in other words, the question is, when you think about what you have been doing as a teacher or what you are aware of as a teacher, which of the four are you least aware of? No? So kumbaga parang yung hindi nyo masyado kino-consider sa pagdisenyo ng motivation for your class. No? Maybe this is an invitation to think about this more. No? So kumbaga ano yung least common dun sa practice ninyo ngayon? Okay, interesting. I see a lot of A's, B's, C's, and D's. Okay. So sana no itong mga least common in the coming school year mas pwede nating pag-isipan no na baka ito yung growth natin yung growth target natin na halimbawa letter A yung least common ninyo as you design lesson resources in the coming semester in the coming school year you may want to do this a little bit more to see how to try to make this more apparent in your practice. Okay. So maraming salamat. I want to close out with some tips and then we'll shift to Q&A mode. No? So yung unang tip na gusto ko lang ibahagi as we close this out is that we have to take note that when we apply these principles, they're always based on our assumptions about our prospective learners. No? Yung favorite example ko dito ay yung Atis versus Apple. Parang di ba, A for Apple. Pero paano kung sa lugar nila, ang letter A na prutas na mas common ay Atis, di ba? So parang hindi gagana yung apple, dapat Atis, diba? So, to always think about, ano ba yung nakikita ng actual learners natin? At hindi lang yung nakikita natin. So yun yung mahalagang ma-distinguish. No? Minsan kasi pag nagdidisenyo tayo, iniisip natin kung ano yung alam natin. Pero minsan, yung alam at kagustuhan at nakikita natin ay iba sa alam at kagustuhan at nakikita ng ating mga learners. No? So, magandang itanong, no? So to look at the world from their eyes and to try to see where they're coming from. Another tip that I think is very important is that this works well, all of these principles work well if we take an asset-based view of our students and not a deficit-based view of our students. No? As you can see here in the slide, an asset-based view sees our students as capable. We have high expectations, no? Parang kaya nila yan. And we value students' lived experiences, not just academic knowledge. No? Mahalagang emphasis siguro yung pangatlong bullet point dito. Kasi minsan, pag sinasabi natin, ay, matalino tong batang to, more often than not, ang iniisip natin, matalino siya in academic sense. Diba? Mataas yung grades niya, naiintindihan niya yung mga konsepto. But alam natin may iba-ibang talino at may iba-ibang experiences na dala yung mga students natin, no matter where they come from, no? It could also be indigenous experiences that they bring with them, coming from their own language, their own culture, their own context at home, and their community. And so we would like to recognize that, no? We would like them to feel na parang, okay, sige, dalhin natin yun, no? Isama natin yung dala ninyo dun sa usapan natin. As opposed to a deficit-based mindset, no, wherein you enter a classroom or you design a learning material that assumes na, ay, wala namang alam itong mga to, kailangan sabihin ko sa kanila lahat. Hindi nila kaya yan, di ba? Hindi pwedeng magtatanong ako ng mahirap na tanong, hindi nila kakayanin yan. No? So kung doon tayo nagsisimula, we're already setting the bar low, di ba? Hindi pwedeng gano'n, no? Parang, even if we want to bridge the gaps, we shouldn't set the bar low. No? A teacher of mine before would always say, ideally, we have high expectations and high support. Mahalaga yung dalawang balance na yun, di ba? High expectations, high support, no? So we recognize that nakakayanin nila, but we're also there to coach them, to try to scaffold, to provide them resources para makatulong na kayanin talaga nila, no? So hopefully, as we think about these principles, we take a more asset-based view than a deficit view of our students. I'd like to close out with this idea, no? Natutunan ko to kay Sir Pao, isa siyang Filipino teacher mula sa Ateneo Junior High School. Sabi niya, itong mga konseptong to, para siyang sa experience natin bilang mga Filipino, para siyang pagsundo, no? Gusto ko yung imahe ng pagsundo. Na kung isipin nyo, culturally, yung pagsundo, di ba, kahit na matanda ka na, sinusundo ka pa rin minsan, no? Minsan, di ka na talaga kailangan sunduin ng magulang mo, susunduin ka pa rin, no? So, more than anything, yung pagsundo is really coming from a place of care, number one, di ba? It's coming from a place of care. But the second thing is coming from a place of recognition that we start from where they're coming from. And so I think this is the spirit of activating from context as we think about using this in our designing of learning resources. Paano natin masusundo yung mga students natin? Nasaan sila nanggagaling? Diba? Ito yung mga mahalagang tanong. Ano yung pinanggagalingan nila? At paano kaya natin silang susunduin at dadalhin dun sa lesson, dun sa gusto nating patunguhan nila ngayong araw na to, or for this particular module, for this particular learning material. So sana, as we try to reimagine our learning resources in the coming school year, we can find ways na masundo natin yung bawat learner natin para walang maiwan at para matulungan talaga natin, lalo na yung mga learners na nangangailangan ng tulong. So, I'll close out here.